In this video, you'll learn about single responsibility per API and effective file handling. If you're wondering why I opened Gmail, I want to demonstrate the idea of a single responsibility using email messaging. Gmail handles the text message and file upload separately, and I can just independently upload the file, and it will send it to the server. Separating file upload allows you to optimize and scale the handling process independently, and it provides better user experience, faster response time, and smooth interaction with your application. So let's say we want to add a cover image when creating blogs. I will create a separate method for handling the image upload, and the create blog function will not be concerned about the file upload. So let me add the cover image file path to the user model. Here, add a cover image column that has a type of string. So now let me create file upload function in the controller and service. So const upload file is equal to, let me copy the definition from here. Let me replace this with upload file. And here we just need the request body. This should be file path because that is what the upload file function is going to return. Let me export it first, and I will create the upload file function in the blog service. Here, let me add the function definition, and I will get back to the actual implementation. The next step is to add a route. So let me head to the blog route, and I'm going to add a file upload route. So let's add a post route with a path of /upload, which also has the auth middleware as well as the file upload controller. This will be more descriptive with a /blog at the front, then add /cover image. Next, let me install a library called Multer, which is used to handle file upload. Now, I'll create a file upload utility that can be used anywhere in the project. So inside the utils directory, let me create a Multer.js file. First, let's import the Multer package. Now I'm going to create a storage for all the files, and it's a disk storage since I want to upload it to my local disk for now. So it takes a destination property, which is a function that determines where we store the files, and it has request, file, and callback parameters. So let's call the callback with no error and the file upload path. I need to create the uploads folder inside the source directory. Let me also add the file name attribute, which is a function used to name the file being uploaded, and it takes the same parameters. The file name is going to be the current date when the file was uploaded, plus the original file name provided by the user. And let's call the callback with no error and the file name. So ESLint is suggesting that this can be shortened, so let's try it. Okay, it's actually better, and let me export it. So it's not the storage that needs to be exported. Instead, I will call the Multer and pass the storage as an argument, and you will see how that works. So I first created a Multer storage to store the files in the uploads folder. You can see that it takes two functions to define the storage directory and the file name. So in the next video, I'll use Multer to upload a file. Since I have exported Multer, it's time to use it on the file upload route. Inside the blog routes, let's start by importing the Multer I defined in the previous video. Now, I'm going to add it as a middleware to the cover image route. I want to upload a single file, so I'm going to use the single method and pass it the field name. Since it's added as a middleware, Multer will be called with the file sent from the user, and it will upload it, and after that, it calls the controller. So inside the controller, I want to check if the file exists. So if the request doesn't have a file for some reason, throw a new API error with HTTP status code of not found and add a message, file not found. And I don't think we need the file upload service here. Here, let me replace it with an object of file path, and the value should be /uploads plus the file name. Okay, let me just change it to interpolation syntax. It makes things way simpler than having to define a new variable. Now, let me head to Multer.js and change the file name format. For starters, there should be a hyphen between these two. And let's also wrap it with backticks. Perfect. Now, let me clear the terminal and run the server. Go to the body and choose from data. And then you select your file, preferably an image, and send the request. It should be a file here. Remember, that is what I passed to the single function. There's something wrong with the file upload path. Maybe it should have been the absolute path. So let me define a file path variable, which is the addition of the directory name and the uploads folder. Again, let me change this to interpolation, and there is no need for any kind of addition operation. Now, let me give it one more shot. Okay, that is great. It's uploading and returning the path. So let me change this to cover image instead of file. That would make more sense, I guess. And I want to only allow images when uploading the file. So let me add a filter. Here, add an image filter that expects the 3 requests, file, and callback parameters. Now, let me check if the file extension matches a certain regular expression. So call original name dot match, and let's pass a regular expression. So it checks if it ends with .jpg or JPEG or PNG. If it doesn't match with this pattern, return the callback by passing a new error instance with a message only images are allowed. If not, return the callback with no error and true to indicate it passed the filter. I actually don't need to return it. And here it should be file filter. One more thing, this should be inside Multer, not here. Let me also change this to API error with bad request status. And I need to import the HTTP status package first. Here, add HTTP status dot bad request and save the changes. Now I'm going to upload a PDF file and test how it responds. As you can see, we've built a strong guard that doesn't let in any files other than images. One final thing, let's add a validation for the cover image. And it's nothing different than the others, just a string type. So the idea is, as I described before, the front-end app can call the upload file API separately when creating a blog, and it will return to it a file path so that it can use it when creating a blog and send a create blog request. It has successfully created it, so in the coming videos, I will keep adding to the file handling, improving its performance using Stream and other mechanisms. Streams are used to efficiently handle large volumes of data, as they allow data to be processed in smaller chunks, reducing memory consumption and improving overall performance. For example, the Multer package uses Stream behind the scenes to upload the file. Instead of processing the entire file, it processes or uploads the file piece by piece. Using a Stream has many advantages, such as memory efficiency because it processes data in smaller chunks rather than loading the entire data set into memory, reducing memory consumption and handling larger data sets without running into memory-related issues. It improves performance because the request response carries a small amount of data, resulting in faster delivery. It also helps with scaling since applications can effectively handle a large number of concurrent connections or data sources. So in this video, I'll use a stream to send the image file to the client. Okay, before doing that, I want to finalize the file upload. First, it's best to add a file size limit. If it exceeds a certain limit, it should throw an error, which is 3 megabytes of maximum allowed file size. So else, if the file size is greater than the specified maximum file size, I will call the callback function with an error. Actually, I don't need to return it. Let's change the error message to file size should not exceed 3 megabytes. And this should be inside the else block. Also, I want to add the uploads folder to the git ignore since it's not necessary to include it in the source code. And there's one more thing I want to do, which is to create the uploads folder when the server starts. So let me navigate to loaders and I will add it here, but I first need to import the FS module. So let me just do that. Now, let me check if it exists by calling fs.access and pass the directory path and the callback function with the parameter of error. If there's an error when accessing the uploads folder, then it means that it doesn't exist, so I will create it. Here, I need to add the mode, which is an integer that dictates the mode or reason the access function is used, that is for an existence check. Now, let's create the directory using fs.mkdir, which expects a path to the folder that you want to create. Here, the callback function should be async. The fs import needs to be at the top since it should come from the local file imports. Let's now start the server. There is some error. I think it's because I used the callback based here. So let me change it to the promise version. So when I save the changes, it creates the folder outside of the working directory. So let me change it. We don't actually need the 2 dots here. Now I'm going to delete this and test it again. Great. It's now being created right here. So it basically checks if the folder exists, and if it doesn't, it creates it. The destination should also go back to one more folder, which is outside of the src and inside of the stream folder. The next step is to create a controller function to read and send the image file. Let's call this function getFile, and I will add it to the exports. Let me first implement the service function, and I will get back to this later. I am going to copy the getBlog service and rename it to getFile and replace the user ID with file name. Now, let's check if the paths exist. To do so, I need to import the fs module. Let me actually put it at the top. So let me call fs.existsSync to check if the file path already exists. Now, let me create the file path variable by joining the directory name and 2 folders back. To get to the root folder, then add the uploads folder and the file name, so that will give us the full path. So if it doesn't exist, I will throw an error as usual. So it is a new API error with the status of not found, and an error message, file not found. Let's now create a stream variable by using the fs.createReadStream function, which expects the file path to create a stream from. Now let me return it. So this creates a readable stream, which is a chunk of data to read from. And I used the fs module createReadableStream function and passed it the file path. Okay, I think I should rename this to getReadableFileStream. We are pretty much done with it, so let me export it. So this is it for this video. In the next part, I will use the service to stream the image. So now let's head to the controller and use the service I created in the previous session. Const stream equals blog service dot get readable file stream, and pass the file name from the request parameter. Next, I am going to specify the content type. So let me call response.setHeader function. And I want to define the content type first. Now, I need to import the path module to find out the file name extension, which could be JPG, PNG, or something else. And it needs to be above the local file imports. Here, let's call path.extensionName, and it takes a file name. So I'm going to create it separately and assign it a value of request.params. Now I can add the file name here, and let me add a prefix of image since it's an image file. All right, let's now add the content type to the header. Everything is ready. Now I can just stream it to the response object using stream.pipe. The stream.pipe function sends the file chunk by chunk to the response. It's just a mechanism used to send the output we get from the readable stream to the response. So express response is a writable stream. Therefore, we can write or pipe data to it. The next step is to create a route. So let me head to the blog route. Now I can just make the usual lazy move, copying this route and changing the method to get. And the route should be images/a param name. This is how we define params using colon and the parameter name, which is name in this case. We don't need this since we're not uploading files, and the controller should be getFile. Inside the file upload function, I only want to send the file name, not the whole path. So let me update the value to just file name. Let's save the changes and test. I just uploaded a file, and let me fetch it now. For that, I am going to copy the file name. Here, under the params tab, I have to add the image name parameter, and I will send the request. I think I should just add the file name at the end of the path and send the request again. I don't think I've added the authorization header, so let me get it from the upload image request. Now, I am authenticated, but got an error that says the path argument must be a type of string. Let's see what's wrong. The param here should have the same name as what I defined in the route. So let me change that to file name. It seems like there's an error again. Let's see it on the code editor. Okay, I forgot to add a wait here. Now the theme has changed. I should be able to see the response. As you can see here, it's showing the image encoding. Let's see the content type inside the headers tab. It's returning .jpg instead of just JPG. So let's fix that. Here, let's split the file name into two parts. the base name and the extension. And let's fetch the second one, which is just the extension without any dot. Now, let's call the toLowerCase method to change it to small letters. Perfect. Let me save the changes and test again. Look at the content type while I'm sending the request, and it's fixed now. So Postman is showing the encoding, but if you open the route in the browser renders the image perfectly. So the same concept applies to other file types, such as video, audio, and document. You can use a stream on all sorts of files, which helps deliver fast responses without delaying or affecting other requests. So in this video, we're going to see something a bit different, which is how to process your image files and resize or compress them to achieve faster loading time and enhanced user experience. So I will use a library called Sharp that provides a high performance and memory efficient way to manipulate images. And I will do some resizing and formatting to change all the images to the same format and also decrease their sizes. Let me now install Sharp. In the meantime, let's head to the block controller file and scroll down to the upload file function, which is where I want to process the image. Now I'm going to head to the blog service and add an upload file service. Const upload file is equal to an async function that expects a file parameter. So to process the image, I need to import Sharp. So const Sharp is equal to require and pass Sharp. Inside the function, let's call Sharp and pass the file buffer. Now let me call .webp, which takes an object that sets lossless to true. So this changes the image to WebP format, and it supports compression by both decreasing and keeping the quality. So setting lossless to true will keep the quality while changing the format. Finally, let's call the toFile method, and it takes a path, so let's define it above. Const output, or let me change it to output path is equal to dir name plus 2 folders back. Let me use a backtick instead. And I will upload the images inside the uploads folder /processed. So I'll create a processed folder for the formatted images. I need to append the file name at the end of the path. So let me first copy it. Now let me add it to the toFile method, and it will store the new image in the output path. Just before the WebP method, add resize, which takes the width, and you can change the width as you wish. So this is an important functionality when you need smaller sizes of the image. Here you can see how Medium resized the cover image to equal width and height, one for better performance and the other for a perfect layout. Usually applications produce images with multiple sizes to fit in different parts of the application, but for us, I'll keep it to one resized image. Now I'm going to return the path, and I also need to export the upload file service. let me now head to the controller, and inside the upload file function, let me add const processed image path is equal to await block service dot upload file and pass requests dot file. I actually don't need the variable definition here. Let me also remove the path import here since it's not being used. I already installed this, so the ESLint shouldn't highlight an error. Now, let me clean up the terminal and run npm star. Okay, it's running, so let's send an upload cover image request. It's saying invalid input. Let's find out why. It couldn't access the file.buffer for some reason, but Multer stores the file in the uploads folder, so we can also pass the path. Let's define a variable called input path, and the value should be similar to this one, but not inside the processed folder. Let's save the changes and send the request again. It's working now. Let's view the actual image. So what I'm doing here is I first stored the file using Multer and resize it and stored it again. But we don't want to store the file twice, so let me change some things. So inside the Multer.js, let me delete the storage from here, and this will prevent storing the file. Instead, it will just return the file and also the file buffer. So now I can directly access the file buffer using file.buffer. There's no need for the input path, so let's remove it. I'm going to delete this since we don't need the process folder anymore. Let's remove the previously uploaded images as well. So let's correct this to just uploads. Now let me create a variable for the file name. Let me head to Multer and I'll copy the file name from here. Let me remove the original file name. And I will add an image prefix in front of the date. And at the end, let me add .webp. Now let's replace this with the new file name. Perfect. Let me save the changes, and I don't think we need $sign here. Now let's head to the controller and change the file name. So I can get the file name from what the upload file function returns. Here, let me update it with just file name and paste it here also. So let's head back to the blog service and return the file name. So instead of storing the file with Multer, Sharp resizes it and directly stores it. Now, let me test it again. You can see it's returning the file, and let's see the size of the image. So this is the original image size, and let's see the resized image. So it even increased the size, and that's because it's doing the lossless compression, and the resized image is larger than the original one. So now I'll change it to lossy compression, where we will highly decrease the image size. So here you need to give it a reasonable quality out of 100. And send the request again. Okay, let's go again and see. You can see here the size changed to 30 KB, So I was able to decrease the size by about 73%, and the image looks pretty much the same as the original one.